I don't know about you, but I've never wanted to be stuck in a bad work situation just because I could not afford to leave. So, in this video, I'm going to talk about the three biggest money moves that I made that are currently buying my freedom and how that is helping to shape the lifestyle that I want to live. So, I'm going to hop right into it. The first money move that I made that is buying my freedom is eliminating all of my debt and being debt free. I've always been adverse to debt. Like, I don't want to say completely averse to it. I've always been very cognizant of what it meant to have debt, whether it's credit card debt, car loans, student loans, what have you. And I've had all of those before in the past. And what shifted my mindset about that, like I've never really viewed it as completely bad, but I always knew that it really wasn't good to have a lot of debt. So I was okay with carrying debt, just making sure that I was making my payments, on time, right, to protect my credit score. But that was pretty much the extent of, like, my feelings about it. Like, I just accepted it as a part of, life, and just made sure that I tried to, make my payments on time, that sort of thing. But what changed for me is when um, what changed my mindset around that is when I discovered the FIRE movement, which FIRE stands for Financial Independence, Retire Early. And I started, learning about, debt, investing, saving, budgeting, everything. And I started to really, believe that, no debt. You know what I mean? I was like, you know what? It's not okay to just carry debt just because that's how it's set up for you to carry it for the maximum amount of time, right? For, banks and stuff to make, their money off of interest or whatever. So I then, like, really flipped the switch. Like, basically, I was like, okay, boom, you know what? No debt. So that pushed me to, like, any debt that I would need, like, necessary, like any debt that I found myself in that was necessary, not from, being frivolous or irresponsible or anything, but, like, say a car, like if I needed a car, or something like that, and, I got a car loan. Instead of me carrying that loan out for the full term of the loan, 4 or 5 years, what have you, I would strategically plan a way to make sure that I paid that loan off as quickly as possible. Because I understood that that is, something, you don't always have money just to buy everything outright. You know what I mean? So that's what kind of flipped the switch for me. And now I view that can be necessary sometimes, but if it is necessary, I know I make a plan to make sure that that debt is paid off as quickly as possible. So being debt free is probably like the biggest, I think it's one of the most underrated flexes you could probably ever have, because when you don't owe anybody anything, it give you a certain, you know what I mean, like a certain feeling, a certain, you know, I guess confidence. I don't know if confidence is the right word, but basically, when you don't owe anybody anything, it gives you more options. Like, it gives you more breathing room. Like, you feel like you have a bit more leverage in things. Going through your daily life or whatever. I don't know. It's just a different feeling. Like, when you just don't owe anybody anything. Like, the best or the most ideal situation is you don't owe anybody anything, and you have a little bit of breathing room, you know what I mean, with your income. But even if you are living paycheck to paycheck, you know, tackling debt, it's just gonna lift such a weight off your shoulders, right? It's just such a weight that's lifted off your shoulders from not owing anybody anything. And of course, I'm talking about, of course you got bills and, your normal expenses, but which can already be, a lot, especially in these times when everything is so expensive. So that is probably the biggest money move that you can make and that I've made, which is eliminating debt. And if I need to carry debt, making sure that it is getting paid for as quickly as possible, and I'm not pushing it out for the full term of whatever, if it's a loan or if it's credit cards, making sure, you pay your credit cards off in full. Just again, so you're not carrying debt over. So that's the number one money move that I made. Number two is saving up an FU fund. All right. An FU fund, it's what you think is, it's insert profanity, FU, right? Fund is a popular term in the FIRE, the FIRE community. And basically what a FU fund is not, it's not an emergency fund. This is literally money that you set aside, that you save, specifically for if you find yourself without a job, whether planned or unplanned. And this is just money that you'll have to cover, your monthly expenses. And the reason why I say it's a bit separate from an emergency fund, because obviously an emergency fund is for an unexpected expense that may be a lot and you just want to make sure you have the cash to cover it. But an FU fund is specifically earmarked for you having a break in employment, whether that's if you quit, or if you decide to take a sabbatical, just a gap year, whatever. If this money is going to be specifically there to, pay your expenses for however much, however long you decide you want to save up expenses for. It could be 3, 6, 9 months, a year, whatever. Having an FU fund, it's just kind of like that security blanket. That's the best way that I can describe it. It's like it's having a security blanket. It's kind of reassurance that, hey, if I don't, if I find myself in a bad, work situation and I need to go ahead and, remove myself, I got this FU fund that is going to give me a little bit of breathing room so I won't be pressed to have to find a job right away because I need that next check coming in, right? So an FU fund is probably the second biggest thing that you can do just for the simple peace of mind, of having, money set aside to carry you through until make your next move with with your jobs. All right. And the third money move that I made to buy my freedom is living below my means. All right. What this, okay, living below your means does not mean you are depriving yourself. At least for me, to me, it does not mean that. It means that even though you can afford to do more, have more, you choose not to, but still, you're still going to be comfortable, right? You just choose not to. You don't go after everything, all at once, right? You make sure that all your needs is met. Of course, you have, you know what I mean. You still go out, do, enjoy yourself, and all of that. Go out to eat, whatever. But as far as your general like lifestyle, like all of the basic necessities, right? Food, shelter, and clothes, right? For me personally, a I don't know that I'm a complete and total minimalist, but I would put myself in a category of as a minimalist. You could probably tell, but I'm in a process of moving, so the apartment is almost packed up. But in any event, I really never liked having a lot of stuff, right? So I never really had the need to constantly, buy things, a lot of home decor, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just me. So it's really easy. I'm not really super materialistic. I guess my only vice would be technology. I like buying little gadgets and electronics and stuff. But outside of that, um, it's kind of easy for me to live below my means just because I'm not super materialistic. I don't really require much. See, I was in, I'm a veteran, so I got used to kind of military life and packing light because I was moving around a lot, and that kind of has carried over into my normal life. So, and I've kind of just kept that same mentality for quite some time now, but living below your means, that's like one of the, you know, that right there, for if people can realize, like really distinguish what you need versus what's nice to have versus, what you want, I think that it would be easier to kind of figure out what what I mean, what is your actual comfort level, right? What is the minimum you can do or have that you're still comfortable, right? You're not depriving yourself of anything. um so like I said, for me it just looks like I'm very minimalist, not a lot of stuff, and in my home, not flashy clothes. I like nice things, don't get me wrong. I like nice things, I like name brand things, but I don't overdo it, right? Just even though I could, but you just choose not to. And what you do with the difference, ideally you would try to invest the difference, or put that money aside for your fu fund, or what have you. But I think that living below your means, you know, is again another one of those kind of underrated things, especially when we live in an environment where we're constantly being sold to, you know, buy this, buy that. You see ads everywhere. You can't go anywhere. You can't be on your phone. You can't watch TV, nothing without seeing an ad for something. So it's really easy to kind of get sucked in, to buying things that you don't necessarily, that you really don't need. You know what I mean? So those are really the three things that I wanted to touch on. The three main things that I wanted to touch on, which is eliminating your debt, having an FU fund, and living below your means. Those are the three biggest things, the three biggest money moves that I've made. That's buying my freedom. Okay, so again, I know it may sound like coming from um, a place of, I don't want it to sound like it's, coming from a place of, I guess what, privilege. But I mean, it is a privilege to be in a position to be able to do all of these things. But even if you are not there yet, you can start incorporating steps into, working towards these types of money moves, to especially if you're, in the same boat, you want to start making lifestyle changes. You're not currently happy or satisfied where you are now, and you're thinking about, what you would need to do in order to start having more options. All right. For me, these are the three biggest things. that I've done, and they didn't, these things didn't make me rich or anything, but it just gave me more like freedom, like breathing room. So that's what I need right now. So yeah. So I just wanted to share these things with you all today, just to kind of give you an idea of, as far as my mindset, as far as finances is concerned. These are the things that I'm going to continue to kind of carry forward in my journey, and hopefully these are some things that you may be able to implement in your journey, in designing the life that you want as well. So that's all I have for you today. Um, so I have a question, which is basically, which one of these money moves are you going to start implementing? Just let me know in the comments. I would love to hear from you. I'm going to reply to every one of your comments. So just let me know. And that's all I have for you guys today. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.